Hi folks, this is Kim from Fit to Drive School. This is task 2 from my Learner Logbook series. If you go to my Facebook page, you'll see a video of it there along with the actual task from the logbook itself. So this is task 2, starting up and shutting down the engine. So what I'll do is I'll read the learning outcome, which is that the learner will be able to safely start the engine of the vehicle and the learner will be able to safely shut down the engine of the vehicle. The assessment standard in this is that the learner will accurately perform parts 1 and 2 of this task without assistance, meaning you're not going to get any help. The assessment will be a demonstration on at least 2 consecutive but separate occasions. Okay, so as I've said before, the P-plate test here in South Australia is a little bit different from Victoria and New South Wales, where I've taught. I'm still not accredited to teach in this state yet, hopefully soon. So just make sure that you read your logbook carefully. If you're not going out with an instructor, okay, and you follow the steps one by one, it will save you a lot of money. Okay, so starting up and shutting down the engine. Part 1, or A from the logbook. If the park brake is not on, correctly apply it. So I'm just going to bring my phone down to here, and you can see that my park brake is on. It is in the up position here. When you do apply the park brake, just make sure that you don't bring it up so high that it takes both hands to release it or you have trouble releasing it. If you're in a manual, it's clutch down to the floor and you keep it down. Okay. I teach in a 2021 automatic Suzuki Baleno, which replaced the last car that was written off by someone following me a little bit too closely and colliding with my rear. Okay, so the next one is, or C, is check that the gear lever is in neutral if you're driving a manual, or neutral park automatics. Well, I put it into park position, okay, and it's pretty common. You just leave your automatic in a park position. So there we go there. As you can see, it's all the way up. There's the park right there, right up the top, and we've got reverse, neutral, drive, second, and low gear. So it's in the park position. Switch the ignition to the on position. All right, so in my particular car, I'll just bring this across. You can see there, I've got a little key fob here. So my particular car has got a stop start button, engine stop start. So I'm just going to push that in. And as you can see, it's just started the engine. And I'll just do that again so you can see what happens when I push that button. All the lights have come on.
The way that the GWS
I'll just turn off the radio.
The forward lines, they seem to, like a lot of the midfielders, they'd run the ball around the wings and through the middle, and they were just completely, the young guys, I don't know, they just got ahead of steam.
Now we finally managed to turn that off. All right, so you can see that all the warning lights of the vehicle are now off. Okay, except for the little red light right up the top there, which is the park brake light. And I'll just show you what happens when I bring the park brake down. You can see that's gone off. So I'm going to apply it again. So the park brake is on. It's in this car, it's very easy to determine if you're driving with the park brake on. It'll make all sorts of warning noises. But sometimes in different vehicles, you can drive with the park brake on and it won't make any sort of noise. You'll just have your little light on there. So be very careful. That is a fail item, driving with your park brake on. All right, so I've started the vehicle. I've checked all the gauges and warning lights. Make sure that you are familiar with what the gauges do and your warning lights and things like that on your car. That's important. All right, and you perform all the steps from 1A to 1G in sequence. All right, part B is shutting down the engine. So let's just say I've returned to the curb. I've done a complete stop. I've returned to the curb, and I'm just going to, okay, as you can see there, I've moved the gear shift into D for drive. I've released the handbrake, and that would be the case if I had just slowed down, done a mirror check, indicated, done a blind spot check to my left to make sure it's safe for me to move across, and I have now stopped within 300 millimeters of the curb. Don't know if you can quite see it. I'll just bring that across. It's a little bit hard to see, but I'm quite close to the gutter without scraping the wheels. So I'll just bring the camera back. All right, so the vehicle is at a complete stop. If you are in a manual, it would be clutch down for the manual. The very first thing that you do next is that you secure the vehicle using the parking brake. All that means is that you put the parking brake on. I'll bring the camera down. I'll use my right hand to do this. So I'll just bring the button in and just lift it up. When you do put the park brake up, make sure you don't pull it up all the way, so you've got to struggle with both hands to release it. I have actually had someone fail their driving test because they couldn't put the park brake down, and the instructor, this was in New South Wales, the assessor, I should say, actually had to release the parking brake. So that was known as action requiring a testing officer's intervention, and it was an immediate fail before she got out of the actual RTA, which is the Road Traffic Authority. So she still did the test, but didn't find out that she failed till later. So, okay, so I've applied the park brake. The next thing that I do, and again, if you are in a manual, you put the gear stick into neutral. I'm not in the manual, so I'm going to push the button in at the top of my transmission lever, and I'm going to go all the way into the park position. So now it's in park and the handbrake is on. Little tip, so you remember about which one to put on first, it's BC. Okay, so it's handbrake first, okay, and then you can do the transmission. Okay, or BT rather. Alright, now my foot's still on the brake, so I'm going to release the brake pedal. I won't be rolling anywhere. I've got the handbrake on and the transmission is into park. Alright, if you are in a manual, you release the brake pedal, then you release the clutch. So you can go BC, brake before clutch. Okay, the next one is switch off the appropriate controls, the light. So let's just say my indicator is still on from my return to the curb maneuver. I'm going to switch that off. I'll bring that down. I'll turn off the air conditioner, and that is now off as well. So last thing that I do, okay, check all the gauges and warning lights. So the only thing that I can see there is that my handbrake is on, which it's meant to be. That's a little red light right up the top, just under the blue arc there. There's nothing else flashing there that needs my attention. So I turn the ignition to the off or lock position. Again, in my car, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to push the start stop button, and you can see what will happen there. I'll just bring that up to the dashboard. So I've just pushed that, and that has turned the vehicle off. So you apply all of those steps, which is part 2, from A to H in sequence. Okay, so this is Kim from Fit to Drive School. Hope you've enjoyed watching this. I'll be posting more videos later on. Enjoy your weekend.